Welcome to another episode of Raw Politics. Have you asked yourself what Rigathi Gachagua's strategy is? See, since the motion to impeach the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua was tabled in the National Assembly, he has painted a clear picture that his entire strategy depends on the judiciary. He believes his salvation is with the judges. So how is he planning? How has he been doing this? What is his main strategy here? He believes the courts will give him a favorable verdict and keep him in office. But how does he go about it? Rigathi is using three methods. One is the victimhood method. He's painting a picture that he was impeached on wrong charges. That is why, before Rigathi went to defend himself before the National Assembly, he held a press conference with all the media houses for 2 hours. In those 2 hours, Rigathi Gachagua painted himself as somebody who was being fought purely because he stood for the truth and he was standing against oppression of Kenyans. The victim. He is somebody who has stood with Kenyans all along, and for that reason is being sacrificed by people who don't want anyone who stands with Kenyans. So it's not because he has done anything wrong. No. He is being removed from office because he has stood with the truth and is defending Kenyans. Actually, the strategy also still played, the victimhood strategy also still played in Parliament, in the Senate. Because when he went to the Senate, after trying several times for the court to stop Senate from hearing his case, he went to the Senate, was there to interrogate the side of the National Assembly, exposed them, poke holes in their charges, and when it was the turn for the National Assembly to do the same to his defense, Rigathi Gachagua disappeared. You see? So what Kenyans remember is the performance of Mutuse. They didn't get a chance to see Rigathi Gachagua being questioned. What Rigathi Gachagua did was perfect victimhood scenario, where you go to your accusers, you poke holes in their charges, but when it is time for them to poke holes on your defense, you disappear. But that one also takes us to his second strategy. The second strategy is to paint himself not just as the victim, somebody who is being removed from office for nothing other than standing for the truth, but also as somebody who is being removed from office illegally. Rigathi Gachagua also wants to make it look that the process was compromised. It was not according to the law. For instance, the reason as to why he disappeared when it was his turn to be questioned is so that it appears that he did not get a fair hearing. To the public, maybe the audience that he intended this drama for, they saw that Senate went ahead and impeached their man without hearing from him. What they didn't know was that this was a strategy by Gachagua to avoid being cross-examined, because that one would have killed his first strategy, which is victimhood. Remember, if he was to be cross-examined, it would have exposed him as a liar and as guilty as he was charged. It would have even convinced more senators to send him home. But he avoided that by disappearing. So it only left people with the notion that Mutuse was struggling, that Parliament did not have sufficient reasons to remove him. So to the audience that this was intended for, they were seeing that, oh, truly our guy was just being politically lynched, as he had said in a previous press conference. The second strategy of being removed from office illegally also played very well. in my opinion, because he knows that Kenyans will not interrogate facts. Kenyans will go with emotions. And when it comes to emotions, people are feeling like their guy did not get a chance to be heard, and for that reason, he deserves, the process was not legal. And that is actually why he is in court. He is in court to paint himself as not just a victim who is being kicked out because of politics, but somebody who was removed out of office without following the due process. I've said that one is very easy to poke holes in because he had already filed his defense, but to the public, Rigathi has painted a picture of him being removed from office without being heard, even though he had even given a press conference which constituted being heard, and he had been in parliament to interrogate others, which was using his own evidence. But people will not go through facts. People will go with the emotion, and the emotions out there is that Rigathi Gachagua was never heard, so he was removed from office illegally. But the third strategy is because he feels that that particular argument is weak. Okay? Is now starting to cast aspersions on the judges. He's starting to paint the judiciary as divided over his issue. He's painting a picture that the CJ is not even aware of what is going on in our own courts, that the executive has infiltrated the courts and there will be no justice. In fact, yesterday, if you took time to watch his presentation, it was to cast aspersion on the judges, even demanding that they reaccuse themselves, that they are not unbiased, that the person who empaneled, the person who formed that particular panel, did not have the constitutional mandate to do so, that the Chief Justice was shocked that this was happening behind her back. What they are doing is that second strategy, a third strategy, where you know you are not going to win because you don't have a case, but you want to paint a disjointed judiciary that is not capable of giving unbiased ruling. So you want that when you are coming from the judiciary, you come the way you came out of parliament, a victim. He came out of parliament as somebody who was sick but was impeached without being heard. He wants to go to the he wants to come out of the judiciary as somebody who had a wonderful case, but the judges were already compromised. Rigathi is going with those three strategies. Paint himself as a victim. Number two, ensure that he convinces the public that he was removed from office without following due process. And number three, ensure that the public believes that the judiciary is so compromised that they cannot offer him justice. So it will be possible for him to go to his people, because if the judiciary was conclusively to reveal that he has no case, then he doesn't have recourse with the people. And Rigathi is about, for him, what matters is what do the people, especially those Kikuyus in Nyeri and other places, believe. That matters to him more than anything else. And so he will do anything to make sure that even at the court, he lives as a victim. That is Rigathi's strategy. He knew that he could not defeat Ruto in parliament, but still said, bring it on. Knowing very well that he was going to be overwhelmingly impeached. When he was overwhelmingly impeached, he goes to the Senate, but with a plan that when it is its turn to be interrogated, he will disappear. And once he disappears, he goes to court to stop any process based on the fact that he's not been heard. And now that he's in court, and he finds out that he doesn't have anything tangible to present to the court and realizes that the court will not go through the charges, court will only be interested in the process, what does Rigathi do now? Now his main issues at the court is how the court is not independent, how the court is disjointed, disorganized, and how there is a conflict of interest among judges, and how the state is intimidating judges. If he succeeds to pull this, even when the courts dismiss all his applications, the people that he is targeting with all this drama will believe him, will believe that he is a victim. He was removed from office not because he was fighting for people. The process was flawed and the courts were biased. So that is Rigathi's strategy. As to whether these ones are worth it, I would say yes and no. It is worth it because it will endear him more to his audience, which is the Kikuyus. They will see their son who fought very hard but was sacrificed nonetheless, and so they will feel like they owe him. They will stand with him because he did all this, he went through all this tribulation for their sake. I'll say it is not worth it because it is going to still lead Rigathi home. Why waste all this time through all this drama, go through all this drama, knowing very well that they will still send you home? If I was him, immediately I saw Mutuse tabling the motion, just tabling that motion, I would have just called President Ruto and said, I agree, I will go home, but I don't want us to have acrimony. After this, let me just go home politely. He would even have resigned. But you see, he wouldn't do that because he's supposed to be seen as a hero among his people, and he's supposed to come out as a victim who was persecuted and tortured because he was defending Mount Kenya and Kikuyus, and also because he was standing for Kenyans against authoritarian regime that was having fake policies. If you ask me, that is what Rigathi's strategy is. It will fail him in terms of getting him back as the DP, but it will endear him more to the Kikuyu masses. He will be like some martyr. Remember, he has started calling himself Matiba and other things. Very soon, he will be like Dedan Kimathi among the Kikuyus. So, for him, this victim mood works. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to share with you what that strategy is and how it will work against Rigathi and also work for him. It will work against him because it will never get him the so-called reinstatement that he so desires, but also, on the other hand, it will get him the martyrhood that he also so desires. Let me know what your views on Rigathi's strategy are. Do you believe it will work? Do you believe he should have done something else? Let me know in the comment section. I will, of course, try my level best to engage every comment. And if you found this video useful, drop a like and share it with your friends. I want to thank you sincerely for taking your time to watch this video. Let us meet in the next one.